So thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, if you felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So we're drawing ever closer to Sky Fight camps. Okay, I think maybe 2 weeks now until we get the first card, which is the Egg and the Cheeseman card. Yeah, that's a decent little scrap, but this is culminating in Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin on pay-per-view, of course, in Eddie Hearn's backyard. And you know, this isn't a prediction, right? I'm gonna hold off on the prediction until a little bit closer to the fight. I'm gonna have a good look at how both guys are looking, if I can get any snippets of them in training before going in and giving a clear-cut prediction. But in terms of this fight, I mean, when this fight was first announced way back end of February, start of March, I think it was the end of February, it was a fight that I kind of thought, okay, you know, it's not a terrible fight. You know, Povetkin is still very useful, even at 40 years old. But you just imagine Dillian Whyte would have enough in the tank. He'd have enough to be able to get through Povetkin. Maybe not stop him, but definitely get through Povetkin. You would imagine, maybe not an easy night's work, but you'd imagine he'd get through him, you know, fairly straightforward. So that's kind of what I thought going into this. Then obviously we had the whole you-know-what, where everything got pushed back. This fight was originally pushed back, I think, until July. And then, of course, obviously it was pushed back again till now, the end of August. So we've had a lot of waiting. In the immediate time, it's been interesting. Because in the immediate time, we've seen Dillian Whyte go through, you know, issues with the WBC, saying he's bringing him to court, you know, constantly going back and forth with the likes of Tyson Fury, you know, constantly, you know, bashing Deontay Wilder, having to say it, all these other heavyweights, really just looking past Povetkin, you know, almost making sure that I'm getting my title shot next year. Next year is my title shot, this, that and the other. No one's taking away my title shot. And you're looking at that and you're making videos saying, yeah, you know, Dillian Whyte's doing the X, Y, and Z, but it's like, he still needs to get past Povetkin. I think that's what most people forget. He still has a fight lined up against a fairly useful operator, even if he is 40 years old. And by the time they actually get in the ring, he'll be 2 weeks shy of his 41st birthday. He's essentially 41 years old, basically, you know, essentially. So you look at that and you think, interesting. You know, he's not really talking much about Povetkin. Povetkin is just going to knuckle down and do what he needs to do. Then we have this whole Mark Tibbs issue, where he's changed trainer from Mark Tibbs to this new guy, Javier Miller. Or is it Javier or is it Xavier? I think it's Xavier Miller. I don't know where I gave him from Javier from. I don't know where that came from. But he changed trainer anyway to this guy, Xavier Miller. And yeah, you know, apparently he was in Miller's camp, or Dillian Whyte was in Miller's camp along with Mark Tibbs for the Marius Vac fight. So, you know, again, like you're going from Marius Vac to Povetkin. It's not like, I don't know if Dillian Whyte will be able to do what Tyson Fury did. You know, I don't think he can, personally, where he can go from one fight, one trainer, to another big fight with another trainer and be able to, you know, make it seamlessly like that. I don't think he can. And shout out to Mark from Unrival Boxing. I was on his channel last night in the live stream, and he was alluding to these facts, you know, and these are facts. These are very, like, strong points to make, that this fight has upset written all over it. And there was one thing Mark said, and it really did have me thinking. It's like, who does Eddie Hearn actually want to win this fight? Does he want Dillian Whyte to win, or does he want Povetkin to win? And some people might look at me and say, gee man, what the hell are you saying? Dillian Whyte's Eddie Hearn's fighter. Of course Eddie Hearn wants Dillian Whyte to win. It'd be ridiculous if he didn't. Well, here's what we talked about last night. And Mark said this and it made perfect sense to me. How do you know Eddie Hearn wants to win, Dillian Whyte to win? What's Eddie Hearn's number one prerogative? Well, it's making Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, isn't it? And if Alexander Povetkin were to go in there and beat Dillian Whyte, maybe on points, in maybe a close decision, well, what happens then? Well, the mandatory gets reset. So that mandatory that is looming for February 2021, all of a sudden that's a little bit further in the distance. And there you go. You've AJ who gets through Pulev. You've Tyson Fury who gets through Deontay Wilder. there you go. You have, even if it's not undisputed, it's still a massive, massive, massive fight, massive money fight, and all the obstacles, i.e. Dillian Whyte and the WBC mandatory, well, that's out of the way for a while. Dillian Whyte may get a rematch. There might be a rematch clause there, and Dillian Whyte may go on and face Alexander Povetkin in a rematch to get that mandatory. But in terms of the actual date, as far as I know with like the IBF, it's like if you're the mandatory, even if you fight an 8-rounder, that's a final eliminator, and if you lose that 8-rounder, the guy you lose to, he becomes the mandatory, and it doesn't change. But some of these sanctions bodies have different rules. I think the WBC and the WBO, they reset the mandatory if the mandatory loses to a contender or loses a fight. So how do we know Eddie Hearn doesn't want that to happen? Just an idea. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to base my prediction off something that, we're just looking at and thinking, does Eddie Hearn want this? I don't know. But it's an interesting one. All right? It's an interesting one because it makes perfect sense. It would make perfect sense. If Eddie Hearn, if he wants the biggest money fight, the biggest money fight in the world of boxing, look no further, AJ Fury. That is where the money is. That's where the money is. They want to get that fight done ASAP. Heavyweight boxing, notoriously unpredictable. Okay? What say AJ fights Pulev, gets through Pulev, and Dillian Whyte beats Povetkin? Obviously, Dillian Whyte will get the mandatory shot at Tyson Fury. Okay? Maybe AJ will decide, okay, I'll fight Usyk. What if Usyk goes in there and schools AJ, wins a 12-round UD? Then what happens? Well, that AJ Fury fight is on its hands and knees. That's lost a lot of appeal, and it will have lost a lot of appeal if AJ loses, especially if he's coming off a loss. So it could push that fight back even further. Whereas if Dillian Whyte was to lose against Povetkin, that mandatory got reset. Well, there you go. Both guys just have to win their respective fights, and there you go. We can have our big fight in 2021. Just an idea. Just what we were discussing last night. And I definitely see some logic in it. Personally, I definitely see some logic in it. And let's not forget, let's remember here, okay? Dillian Whyte, while he's been working with Eddie Hearn for several years now, he is still on a fight-by-fight basis with Eddie Hearn. He is not signed any long-term deal to Eddie Hearn. So Dillian Whyte, for all intents and purposes, he could fight this fight with Povetkin. He could beat Povetkin. He could stop Povetkin for all we know. Alright, and then get his mandatory shot next year. Well, he could decide, you know what? Maybe I'll go over with Frank Warren. Maybe he'll do a different job. He'll do a better job. He could do that. He's perfectly within. He's fighting on a fight-by-fight basis with Eddie Hearn. So it's not like Eddie Hearn is looking at Dillian Whyte thinking, you know what? I've got another 3 fights with this guy. I better make sure I get my money. I better make sure this. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. So, it's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thought. And as I said, it's just a thought. I'm not saying that's necessarily what's going to happen. I'm not going to base my prediction off of that. I'm going to base my prediction off what I actually think will happen in the fight. But I think it's an interesting thought. If Eddie Hearn really wants AJ Fury and that's the fight, he can say whatever he wants about he'll prioritise Dillian Whyte, but that's the fight he wants. Truthfully, deep down, that's the fight he wants. It's an interesting one. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know your thoughts on that. What do you think? Do you think that maybe this is just, maybe just overthinking things? I have a habit of doing that in real life. Best believe I have a habit of doing that in real life. That's one of my biggest flaws, overthinking things. But you think on this occasion, maybe something like that could happen? Let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, people, if you guys are new. I also do have a Patreon, and there are podcasts available now. So if you want to go over, have a listen, more than welcome. You can sign up once, you can cancel it whenever you want. It's £2 just to start off. You get the podcast. Let me know your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. And as always, I will talk. There you go, people. Thank you for dropping by the channel. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed the video that you just saw. Remember, please like and share. It really, really helps me out. I do have Patreon as well. You can go over there. There's some podcasts up now. Go and have a listen if you like it. All well and good. Thanks a mil for all the support, people. I will talk to you.